All right, looks like we're diving into kidney health today, judging by all the notes and even that YouTube video transcript you sent in.
Yeah, it's funny. Kidneys are one of those things most people don't think much about until, well, until they have to.
And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive. I'm always fascinated by those aha moments where you realize something's way more important than you ever gave it credit for. Like, no more taking our kidneys for granted. The thing that really struck me was just how crucial they are to our overall well-being.
Absolutely. They're doing so much more than just filtering waste. We're talking blood pressure management, bone health, even red blood cell production. They're like the ultimate multitaskers.
Speaking of multitasking, it seems they're also pretty good at sending out warning signals when something's off.
Right on.
hmm
The video we got mentions 5 key signs to watch out for. And honestly, some of them are things you could easily miss or blame on something else entirely.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, changes in your urination habits are a big one. So going more or less often than usual, if the color's weird or if it's cloudy, those could be early signs of kidney issues.
That's what I'm talking about. I probably wouldn't immediately think kidney problem if I noticed that. What else is on the list?
Feeling constantly wiped out, even after you've supposedly slept well, that can be a red flag. Your kidneys are working hard to filter waste from your blood, and if they're not functioning right, those toxins can build up and leave you feeling totally drained.
Okay, that makes sense. But fatigue is such a common symptom. Anything more specific we should be on the lookout for?
Definitely. High blood pressure is a major one. Your kidneys are super important for regulating blood pressure, so if they're struggling, it'll often show up in your readings.
Makes sense. And I remember the video also mentioned swelling, especially in the face and legs.
Right, because the kidneys are managing fluid balance in your body. If they're not doing their job, fluid can build up, leading to that puffiness,
Hmm.
especially in your lower extremities.
Wow, so many things we might just brush off as unrelated. It's like our kidneys are trying to tell us something, but we're not listening.
Exactly. And one thing that can really mess with their ability to communicate clearly, our diet.
Oh, I knew we were going there eventually. Hit me with it, one of the worst offenders.
Well, the video zeroed in on 3 types of food that can be really rough on your kidneys.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm ready to take notes.
First up, the usual suspect. Salt. Anything loaded with salt. High sodium intake basically forces your kidneys to work overtime to filter it all out, which can lead to damage over time.
Not surprising. What else should we be watching out for?
Foods high in purines. Now, purines themselves aren't necessarily bad, but when they're broken down in your body, they produce uric acid. And guess who's responsible for filtering that
The
out?
kidneys.
Right. Bingo. Too much uric acid, and you're looking at potential kidney stones, gout, which is incredibly painful, and even more serious kidney problems down the road.
Okay, so salt and purines are on the no list. What's the third category we need to watch out for?
Sugary drinks. Now, you might think, oh, it's just liquid, it'll pass through. But a lot of those sugary drinks, especially sodas, are packed with phosphoric acid salts, and those can really stress your kidneys, especially if you're drinking them all the time.
Interesting. I never made the connection between phosphoric acid salts and kidney health. So it's not just the sugar itself, it's these other sneaky ingredients that can cause problems.
Exactly, and the research is there. The video even cited studies that found a link between drinking a lot of soda, we're talking over 250 milliliters per day, and an increased risk of chronic kidney disease, or CKD.
Wow, that's a wake-up call for sure. I might have to rethink my beverage choices after this.
It's all about moderation and being aware of what you're putting into your body, right? But it's not just about what we eat and drink, it's also about our daily habits. There are some surprisingly common habits that can sabotage your kidney health without you even realizing it.
Oh, I love busting bad habit myths. Spill the beans. What are we talking about here?
Well, we already touched on the importance of staying hydrated, but it's worth repeating. Not drinking enough water is a big no-no for your kidneys. They need water to do their job, to flush out waste, to stay healthy overall.
Right, water is life, especially for those kidneys. But what about some of the less obvious habits? The video mentioned holding your pee, for example.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. You might be surprised to learn that holding it in too often can actually put a strain on your kidneys and increase your risk of infections.
Okay, confession time. I'm definitely guilty of that one. Sometimes I just get so caught up in what I'm doing that I forget to take breaks. But seriously, holding it can actually cause damage.
It's not about never holding it in, of course. We all have those moments. But making a habit of it, that's when you start running into problems. Like anything else, moderation is key.
You're telling me. I'll try to be more mindful of those bathroom breaks from now on. What other sneaky habits should we be aware of?
Overusing painkillers. Even over-the-counter ones can be tough on your kidneys. They actually impact the kidney tissue directly, and that can lead to damage over time, especially if you're taking them regularly.
Wow, I had no idea it was that serious. I always thought over-the-counter meds were pretty harmless. So are you saying we should just suffer through headaches and muscle aches?
It's not about avoiding them altogether, of course. If you need them, you need them. But it's about being mindful of how often you're using them and always talking to your doctor about long-term use. There might be other ways to manage your pain that are gentler on your kidneys.
That's good advice. And I remember the video also mentioned stress and lack of sleep as potential kidney saboteurs. I always figured those were more of a mental health thing, not so much a physical health issue.
It's all connected, which is what makes this so fascinating, right? Chronic lack of sleep can throw off your blood pressure and even contribute to insulin resistance. And both of those can put extra strain on your kidneys. And stress, well, when you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, and that hormone can actually be toxic to your kidney cells.
So basically, taking care of our mental and emotional health is just as important as watching what we eat and drink when it comes to kidney health.
You got it. It's all part of the same big picture. Your kidneys are a vital part of that intricate system, and they definitely deserve our attention and care.
Well said. So we've covered all the things that go wrong, all the ways we might be accidentally harming our kidneys. But let's switch gears and talk about what we can actually DO to keep those kidneys happy and healthy. The video had some really simple, actionable tips for that, right?
Absolutely, and that's what's so great about this. Even small changes can make a big difference.
I'm all ears. Break it down for me.
Okay, first and foremost, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. You've heard it a million times. Aim for 8 glasses of water a day. But also, listen to your body. If you're thirsty, drink. And pay attention to the color of your pee lighter is generally better when it comes to hydration.
Water, water, water. Got it. What else can we do to show our kidneys some love?
Cut back on the salt. This doesn't mean you have to eat bland food. Just be aware of hidden sodium in processed foods and get creative with other seasonings. There's a whole world of spices out there, you know?
Right. It's not about deprivation, it's about making smarter choices. And the third tip.
Get moving. Regular, moderate exercise is amazing for your circulation, which helps your kidneys function better. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, a brisk walk, some gardening, dancing in your kitchen. It all adds up.
I love how these are all things anyone can do. It's not about crazy diets or expensive treatments. It's about building healthy habits that support our overall health, including our kidneys. Simple, but powerful.
Exactly. Small changes, big impact. That's the magic of preventive healthcare.
All right, so to recap, our kidneys are these amazing multitaskers that do way more than just filter out waste. They're essential for our well-being in so many ways.
And they're also surprisingly sensitive to a lot of our common habits and what we choose to eat. But the good news is we have a lot of control over how we treat them.
Totally. Knowledge is power, right?
Mhm.
Now that we know all this, we can make better choices to support our kidney health for years to come.
It's an investment in your future health for sure. Speaking of which, all this talk about kidneys is making me realize how hungry I am.
Me too. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back to dive deeper into chronic kidney disease and what we can do to prevent it.
Stay tuned, everyone. There's more to come.
Okay, welcome back. It's amazing how much we rely on these little bean-shaped organs, isn't it? They really are the unsung heroes of our bodies.
We really are, and they do so much more than just filter, as we've been talking about. They impact so many different aspects of our health and how we feel overall.
You know, one of the biggest takeaways for me from all this is just how much control we have over our own kidney health. We don't have to just wait for things to go wrong. We can actually take steps to protect them.
I agree completely. That's what I find so empowering about having this knowledge. Once you understand the risks and what can happen, you can start making choices that support your health in the long run.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership of our well-being and making choices that add up over time. But I think sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming when we think about all the things we should be doing for our health, right?
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in that all or nothing kind of thinking, like we have to change everything overnight. But in reality, real change happens slowly over time.
So true. It's about finding those small, manageable tweaks that we can actually stick with. Maybe it's just swapping out that sugary soda for a glass of water more often, or adding an extra serving of veggies at dinner.
Or even just taking 5 minutes to breathe and de-stress. It all matters.
It really does. I think that's a great point to end on. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by all the things we should be doing, let's focus on the small, positive changes we can make right now.
It's about progress, not perfection, right?
Right.
And remember, even those small steps can make a huge difference when it comes to your health, especially for those hardworking kidneys of yours.
So as we wrap up this kidney health deep dive, we want to leave you with a simple question. What's one small act of kindness you can show your kidneys today?
Maybe it's choosing a healthier snack, taking a walk, or even just being more mindful of how much water you're drinking. Whatever it is, make it a conscious choice, a small step towards a healthier you.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery into the world of kidney health. We hope you learned something new and feel inspired to take charge of your well-being.
Until next time, stay curious, stay hydrated, and keep those kidneys happy.
Okay, so we've talked about how to support our kidneys, but what happens when things go wrong? What does kidney disease actually look like?
That's a really important question, and it's something the video spent some time on, specifically chronic kidney disease, or CKD. It's basically a gradual loss of kidney function over time, and scary thing is, you might not even know you have it in the early stages.
So, like, no warning signs, no flashing red lights. How do people even find out they have it if it doesn't have any symptoms?
That's the tricky part. It's often picked up through routine blood and urine tests, like when you go for a regular checkup. Those are so important because they can catch things early when treatment can be more effective.
So, it's not just about noticing changes in your pee or feeling tired. You could have CKD and not have a clue. That's kind of freaky. What happens if it goes untreated? What are the consequences?
Well, as kidney function decreases, waste products and fluids start to build up in your body, and that can cause a whole cascade of complications. So you might experience more fatigue, weakness, maybe loss of appetite, trouble sleeping, and even bone problems can develop since the kidneys are involved in regulating calcium and vitamin D.
And the video mentioned dialysis. That's for people with really advanced kidney disease, right?
Right, in the later stages of CKD, when your kidneys just can't filter waste effectively anymore, dialysis or even a kidney transplant might be necessary. Dialysis basically does the job of your kidneys externally, filtering your blood. But it's a pretty demanding treatment.
Yeah, the video mentioned that over 1 million people in China were already on dialysis in 2022. That's a huge number and really makes you realize how important it is to catch CKD early before it gets to that point.
Definitely. Prevention and early detection are key here. I mean, dialysis and transplants are incredible. They can literally be life-saving, but they come with their own risks and challenges.
So let's talk about prevention for a minute. We've covered the basics, water, salt, exercise, but is there anything else people can do to lower their risk of developing CKD in the first place?
Managing any underlying health conditions is really important, like diabetes and high blood pressure are two of the biggest contributors to CKD. So if you have those, keeping them under control is absolutely crucial.
So even if you're young and feeling healthy, those regular checkups are still so important. It's not just for older people, right?
Exactly. Early detection is everything. And if you have a family history of kidney disease, it's even more important to be proactive about your health. So talk to your doctor, get those screenings done, and make those lifestyle changes we were talking about to protect your kidneys.
It really does seem like knowledge is power when it comes to kidney health. The more you know about the risks and what you can do to minimize them, the better equipped you are to, well, to take care of yourself.
I couldn't agree more. And the fact that you wanted to do this deep dive on this topic, it tells me you're already on the right track. You're taking an active role in your well-being, and that's fantastic.
Speaking of taking an active role, you mentioned before that kidneys are involved in so much more than just filtering waste. I'm actually really curious to learn more about that. What else do these little powerhouses do for us?
I know, right? We tend to think of them as just waste removal systems. But they're involved in a surprising number of really vital processes.
Mm.
Like they actually produce a hormone called erythropoietin, which is crucial for red blood cell production.
Wow, I had no idea. So it's not just about peeing out toxins, they're literally helping to keep our entire circulatory system running smoothly.
Exactly. They're helping to keep your blood healthy and make sure your body has enough oxygen to function properly.
That's incredible. What else? You mentioned blood pressure earlier. How are they involved in that?
They play a key role in regulating blood pressure by controlling the volume of fluids in your body. And they produce this enzyme called renin, which helps manage blood vessel constriction.
So they're like internal regulators, keeping everything in balance.
Pretty much. And we touched on their role in bone health before, how they help activate vitamin D, which you need for calcium absorption.
Yeah.
Seriously, they're multi-talented organs.
It's amazing, isn't it, how much we depend on these two tiny bean-shaped organs. It really makes you appreciate how complex the human body is and how everything is connected.
It really does. And it just highlights how important it is to think about our health holistically.
Yeah.
What we eat, How we move, our sleep, even how we manage stress, it all plays a role in keeping our kidneys happy and healthy.
It's all connected. So what does this all mean for our listeners? What's the takeaway here?
I think the main takeaway is that you have more control over your kidney health than you might realize. While genetics and some medical conditions can play a role, a lot of the risk factors are things you can modify through lifestyle choices. You really do have the power to make a difference.
That's a good point. It's encouraging to know you don't have to wait for symptoms or a diagnosis to start taking care of your kidneys. You can start making those little changes today, like drinking more water, watching your salt intake, getting some exercise. And those small things can have a huge impact on your health down the road.
You said it. It's all about taking ownership of your well-being and making choices that support your health, both now and in the future.
We've talked a lot about the physical stuff, but I think it's important to acknowledge the mental and emotional side of kidney health too. We talked about how stress can be a major factor, so finding healthy ways to manage that stress, whether it's meditation, yoga, spending time outdoors, whatever works for you, that's just as important as watching your diet.
I completely agree. Taking care of your mental and emotional health is an investment in your overall well-being, and that includes your kidneys. It's about creating a balanced lifestyle that nourishes your body and your mind.
Well said. So I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored how complex our kidneys are, the risks and signs of kidney disease, and most importantly, the simple but powerful steps we can take to protect these vital organs. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely feeling more inspired to take care of my kidneys after this deep dive.
Me too. It's been fascinating to really dig into this topic, and I hope our listeners feel empowered to take control of their own kidney health as well.
Before we wrap things up, I want to leave everyone with a bit of a challenge. We've talked about so many potential changes, but we also know it can be a lot to try and change everything at once.
Right, small steps, one at a time. That's the key to making changes that stick.
So here's my question for you, dear listener. Knowing all this now, what's one small change you can make today to show your kidneys a little love?
Maybe it's swapping that soda for a glass of water. Maybe it's adding more veggies to your dinner. Or maybe it's taking a few minutes just to breathe and de-stress.
Whatever it is, make it something achievable, something you can stick with. Remember, those small changes can lead to big results when it comes to your health.
Absolutely. Taking care of your kidneys is an investment in your future well-being. It's about feeling your best, having more energy, and living a longer, healthier life.
Beautifully said. And on that note, it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of kidney health. We hope you learned something new and that you feel empowered to make choices that support your health and well-being.
Until next time, stay curious, stay hydrated, and keep those kidneys happy.
You know, one thing that's really stuck with me through all this is just how much we actually depend on these, what are they, like two bean-shaped organs. It's wild.
I know, right? And to think, for most of us, they're just quietly doing their thing until something goes wrong. They really are the unsung heroes of the body.
Absolutely. And what's so amazing is that we've learned we have way more control over our kidney health than we might think. Like, we don't have to just sit around and wait for problems. We can be proactive about taking care of them.
100%.
Mm.
That's the power of knowledge, right? When you understand the risks and what could happen, you can make informed choices to protect your health for the long haul.
For sure. It's about taking charge of our well-being and making those daily decisions that really add up. But I get it. It can feel kind of overwhelming sometimes thinking about all the things we should be doing to stay healthy, you know?
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to fall into that trap of all or nothing thinking where we feel like we need to overhaul our entire lives overnight. But that's just not realistic. Sustainable change happens gradually.
Right. Small steps, one at a time. Maybe it's swapping out that sugary drink for a glass of water more often, or adding an extra serving of veggies to our plate.
Even taking a couple minutes to just breathe and de-stress, honestly, every little bit counts.
It really does. I think that's a perfect note to end on. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by all the things we think we should be doing, let's focus on the small, positive things we can do right now.
Totally. It's about progress, not perfection. And remember, even those seemingly tiny changes can make a huge difference for your health, especially when it comes to taking care of those amazing kidneys.
So to wrap up this kidney health deep dive, we want to leave you with one question. What's one little thing, one act of kindness you can do for your kidneys today?
Maybe it's choosing a healthier snack, or going for a walk, or just being more mindful of your water intake.
Whatever it is, make it a conscious choice. One small step towards a healthier year.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into kidney health. We hope you learned something new and that you feel empowered to take control of your own well-being.
Until next time, stay curious and keep those kidneys happy.